Hey guys, MakeWayforWilly here. Today's video is going to be all about how to create a 2x2. In my opinion, 2x2s are one of the most dominant starter bases you can have in Rust, and today's video is going to be my take on a starter 2x2 that you can make when you're getting a fresh wipe. So let's just jump into it. 2x2 basically means 4 squares on the bottom, and this is now your 2x2 foundation. It's the core foundation that everything that you're going to build off of from this. My initial opinion is to make sure when you're building your 2x2, you don't only think about just the core foundation, but you also think about an airlock in your initial build process. Airlock meaning that as you open one door, there is another door that must be opened prior to getting to the outside of the base. The ultimate idea is that as you open one door, if you only have one door, it is one door into your loot room, which then someone can control your base and then require you to start all over. Including an airlock from your get-go is going to ensure that you have the safest opportunity to keeping all of that work and loot that you've kind of started to farm and build off. Now that we have our 2x2 started, we know that we want to create walls, and we know we want to have some doors. Your 2x2 core frame is now complete. You can upgrade, throw down your doors, put on your TC, and you are good to go. Again, I would ensure I start always with my foundations. Foundations being the most important, as if someone could shoot out or pick out your foundations, they will destroy everything that's attached to it. So those being the most important to start. Initially, right after that, I go through and upgrade all of my walls. My next move is always to get a front door done. Now, for me, if you see this, my front door is facing with the code lock or the lock on the right-hand side. Why is that, you may ask? Instead of the left? It actually is important. Who would have thought, right? So, with this code lock being on the right, what's going to happen is when I hit E and I open up this door, it opens towards me. Now, with one door, this doesn't mean much, but as you go and you add in your second door, this is when it becomes important. You now have what is called a proper natural airlock. No matter what, you are not going to have someone break into this. You can open one door, potentially this door still being open, and you can then still feel safe that no one can get inside your base. The only way they'll actually be able to get inside your base is if they pick through potentially this wall right here, or I guess you could say raid this frame, this entire door frame here. Now that you have your doors down, I would then go into building your roof. And the only reason I recommend putting the doors down first is because the roof, someone's going to have to come with a ladder, be prepared to be able to climb up if you aren't building next to anywhere where someone can jump on. So just the sheer fact if you're not next to a place that someone can just jump into your base, the doors being the most important because it's ground level. Now, I left this here wood on purpose, and I want to show you exactly why I'm going to do that. I just want to show you guys really quick why upgrading your roof and your foundations are the most important to stone as fast as humanly possible. If your walls are wooden, but your roof and your foundation are stone, that is completely acceptable. Now, I just want to explain a little bit of background on why, and I think, for most of you, you'll understand this quite quickly. This is why. You see this little crack here with me just happening to take a peek down this hole here. I can zoom in with a hollow here, and I can see that this is where the TC is. The fact now, if I was a potential raider or someone looking for bases to potentially raid or look into and see which ones are worth, knowing where a base's TC is leaves you exposed for the rest of the wipe if you plan on keeping this base. They know, a raider will know, that this right here, this square, these two walls are where they need to go to ensure that they are taking out your base as fast as humanly possible. So as everyone that's raiding, their goal is to find your TC. And when it is wooden, getting your TC and finding out where that TC is unbelievably easy due to these cracks in the wood as you see here. So my recommendation, if you don't have enough stone from the get-go to upgrade your walls directly to stone, that is completely fine. Upgrade to wood. Make sure that your roof and your foundation is stone as fast as possible. So now that you're actually fully secure, Just make sure we have our triangle out here. Make sure that's stone, the same. You can now start to build out the rest of the inside of your 2x2. You can feel almost comfortable leaving your doors open like this if you really wanted to. I would not recommend it, quite obviously, but again, no one's going to be getting in unless they're doing a ton of work to get there. Now that we have our 2x2 completely done, you feel safe, secure, fan-freaking-tastic. Let's put down the additional layers of security. This is just what I do personally with my 2x2s. Now we have an additional airlock as well. So hypothetically here, if someone does go through and they raid this door, somehow they raid this door, they're going through, and now they only have one door left, you have an additional door here that can be leveraged as security for you. Now that we have this done, I jump into storage. For me, I put down a half wall. I then put down a floor square over top of this. From that point on, I can then demolish that half wall, and I have what I would consider my core storage loot room. From here, I add in a wall frame. From there, I add in a wall frame. I create and have my boxes made. So you can create 4 boxes. Make sure you get 6 or 7 of your small boxes. And for me, there's a bunch of ways that you can potentially make a 2x2 in this space that's recognized here. As you see, you have 3 squares of storage. This is just the way I prefer to put my loot when it comes to this exact setup. So for me, I put 2 boxes as close to the back and as close to the walls that they are next to as possible. I put a small box there, small box here, small box there, and I replicate this on the top part as well. Gives you the opportunity to add a small box in between. I'm going to add a small box here, additional room. This small box, as you put it here, is quite important on how you place it. You can place it like this, or you can place it more so on a horizontal axis here, like this. The only difficult part is when you do it on a horizontal axis, or horizontal like that, is that it becomes difficult to then reach your large wood boxes. You have to actually put your cursor on the corner, roughly the corner, to make sure you're accessing it. Whereas here, you can just clearly see access without a problem. Sometimes the hard part is exactly what you're seeing here, is the ability to place your garage doors or your double doors when you have that one box that's sticking through. So normally I end up doing the horizontal boxes and leveraging the corners to get in there. I then instantly put down a garage door or a double door, whichever you may have, to make sure that's secure. And again, even with this setup, you can add more storage. This is just for me, when I'm starting out, especially as a solo or a solo duo, the best way to, I feel like, get down something that's fast and also has a ton of storage. Let's get some furnaces, a tier 1, because we've already gotten enough to ensure that we are good. For me personally, again, I'm going to put my workbench right here. Again, this doesn't interact or interfere with you going through doorways, which is a very important aspect when you're playing as a solo or honestly as a duo. You want as much room as possible, but also making things as compact as possible. I always put an additional wall frame here to ensure if I wanted to, I could put a garage door. Again, making it more difficult to go through doors is the key when it comes to a 2x2. Most raiders, when looking at 2x2s, they see the outside, they notice it's a 2x2, and their core instinct is normally, let's just go through doors. It's only going to be 2 doors probably into loot, and from that, they don't expect much more. The goal here is to make sure that that is actually not true for your base whatsoever. So you want to make sure that you can make it as difficult as possible to go through said door. And a little tip that I would recommend potentially for those that are playing on more hardcore servers is in the beginning, even for maybe the first 2 days, as long as you're not in a high PvP area, I put down a wood door. And the reason I put down a wood door is because it makes your base, it perceives your base to be less wealthy than it actually is. Like I said, perception in Rust is sometimes the most ideal thing that you can do to survive. when you have a wooden door, raiders think, oh, this person's going to have less loot because of said wooden door. If you have sheet metal on the outside, they then assume now you're already progressing in the wipe. You are clearly doing better than someone that is with a wooden door. Yes, you're doing is sacrificing that durability, that strength, with a bit of rust deception, which sometimes actually is more powerful than the sheet metal door itself. And there's even times where I would go out and I'd add a random, random triangle here, maybe throw in like a wooden back here, just to make it seem like I was in the progress of updating and upgrading and potentially even honeycombing, but making it look like I'm a new player. And again, this is solo mentality here, or duo mentality, when you are just trying to make sure that the Zergs, the clans, look at your base and say, oh god, these guys don't have any loot. They barely know how to build a 2x2. So again, it's a little bit of rust deception. Cool. So now that we have our furnaces, we got our tier 1, we got our loot room set up, we have some extra protection to get into our base. We can throw down a sleeping bag wherever you see fit. Sometimes for me, I put it right here. There you go. It's got a little bit of room. Again, compact is the most important thing when building in small spaces in Rust. You want to make sure that you're optimizing every inch of your base if you can. When I have a tier 3, I always put my tier 3 right here. I end up picking my furnace up, put tier 3 here, and I always put my tier 2 up against this wall where the door sits that opens up towards it. And as you see, you need close to 5,800 stone. You need a little over 5,800 stone, 1,000 wood to make sure that you can get going here and be fully upgraded as I am today. I recommend, again, if you can't get that off the bat before you get a base down, I would recommend making these walls on the outside all wood, because wood is obviously easier to gather, easier to collect, then stone, getting those to be wooden walls, and having all the mats prepared before you even put a base down. Having your TC, having your at least one door and one key lock ready to go before even putting a foundation down. And guys, if you want to see any other videos added to my tutorial list here, I'm always into hearing what the community would like to see, so please put in the comments what you want to see as far as the tutorial is concerned in the next video series. Thank you very much, guys. Make way for Willy here. Hope everyone has a great day.